Hey guys, welcome to an unboxing of sorts. This is one of the TVs that came in that load from New York of TVs for me to restore. They're mostly Predictas with a Zenith porthole and a Dumont thrown in the mix. Well, this, I think we can pretty clearly tell, is a Predicta holiday. I believe the deal is the owner bought it, I think off eBay, and this is how it arrived, and he never actually unwrapped it and just shipped it over to me. So I get the dubious honors of opening it up. I say dubious because, well, who knows what we're going to find inside. One thing I don't like right away is the knob for on-off volume is poked through the plastic. That definitely protrudes and it could have gotten damaged. Same with the corner of this cabinet. Obviously, just throwing some bubble wrap and then some plastic wrap around a TV is not the best way to ship it. I assume this was inside a box, maybe with some peanuts or something like that. You certainly couldn't throw this in the post wrapped up like this. That being said, it's better than nothing. It's certainly, aside from where it's protruded in some of the parts that stick out, it is protected. I also hope it hasn't been wrapped up for a very, very long time, in which case the plastic wrap may have actually affected the plastic. I've seen that happen before, like there could be little dimples from the bubble wrap may have left their mark on some of the parts. At any rate, let's get this open. So how do we get it open? I'm inclined to grab a razor blade and slit it, but I don't want to accidentally scratch something, which means I need to find the end of it. And, well, looks like I got lucky, and we just start unwrapping. Oh, looks like my luck. Still going. I think the owner did tell me something about the condition, but honestly, I don't remember. I'm sure he saw the set before he bought it, so he has some idea of the condition. I think it was in pretty good condition. I think he said it was a blonde. Or maybe I'm thinking the woman standing next to it in the photo he sent me, it was a blonde. I don't know. Oh, well, that's good. So it's not bubble wrapped directly against this. There's another layer of foam. That's good. Ooh, wow. Bit of an odor. So, as probably all of you know, the plastic that they used on the front, on the screen cover on these 21-inch sets is made out of tenite. Same stuff they use on screwdriver handles that gets an odor over time. Well, having been sealed in this plastic, kind of concentrated the odor. Whew. Oh, too bad there isn't much ventilation down here in the basement. But hey, that being said, damn, that's nice. Well, whatever environment this was stored in, however it was stored, maybe it was the plastic, that like doesn't even need anything done to it. There is no... It's not just an odor that builds up, but the odor is from the plastic decomposing slowly over time. Inexorably, inevitably, this plastic decomposes. And it seems like heat and humidity increases it. Some speculation mold might be involved because it is based off of cellulose, which is organic. I don't know. All I know is that this looks real nice. But I see that there's shrinkage too, so there is a gap. I see this more and more. So the screen cover looks really good, but it's shrunk. They shrink too. It's not just an odor. They get smaller and they start pulling away from the band, and they get smaller than the plastic shell behind, which is a different material that does not deteriorate. Eventually, they will all disappear. It may take a few hundred years, but before that they're going to shrink more and more until they become unusable, they fall out. hopefully we'll get reproductions made someday. So yes, it is a blonde, and darn, that is a nice blonde. Ooh. I was about to say we have the antenna. Well, we sort of have the antenna. A little bit of a condition issue, so somehow, okay, yeah, it should be like this, but it got bent. So, I mean, it's something. It's better than nothing. I've seen this happen once before. I suspect I know what happened. Is that there's a spring in here, keeps tension against this so that it can press up against these two pieces, press together, and you can manipulate the antenna. There's a plastic shell around all this. The plastic must have failed. Alright, let me clear this plastic away and let me get a better look at it. So far, I like what I see. Uh-oh, sorry Jupes. Didn't mean to bury you in bubble wrap. Oh. Sorry, doggy. Alright, I'm going to go freehand so we can sort of walk around the set and take a tour. So there's where the antenna would have been attached. See, there's the spring. Let's see what we can do to patch that together. Two knobs missing. That's going to be a problem. I might have a couple brown spares. I don't think I have any spare blonde knobs. And actually they're not blonde, it's sort of a light tan color. At least we have these. Did this one get damaged? It's bent. The control is bent. Hopefully we can straighten that out. Oh, it's also not the original. Which may be just as well, because often those don't work so well anymore. So the original would have been push on, push off. This is push pull. Channel clunker. But what's really nice is the faux finish cabinet. So all this is fake. This is real wood, just this strip here. This, I believe, is fake, fake, fake. And that fake finish tends to flake off over time. It's sort of printed on there. And this is sort of spray painted metal mesh. I have no idea how they did it. You can see it's crazing, which is a common issue. This faux finish, and then eventually it starts flaking off. See the chunk missing there. Incredibly hard to touch up, especially the blonde. I have one. It's actually the first blonde I've seen. All the other holidays I've worked on were mahogany, and one of them I did go so far as to re-veneer with really paper-thin, real mahogany veneer. But luckily we don't need to do anything like that with this set. It does have the back. A bunch of debris came out of the bubble wrap. This could have been left off. It's just going to the antenna terminals. It's nothing. Power cord, hopefully we can salvage. It's a little stiff. Hey, the chain is there, intact. Often it's not. Although it's not where it's supposed to be attached, I don't think. The idea being, I think the chain normally attaches here, is that you undo the back and you can flip it up, and it's attached by a chain to the rest of the cabinet. I guess that was a silly way to help avoid losing the back. Often the sets are missing from backs. I don't know, but usually these are cut or broken off. But that's a nice touch. Are all the screws here in the back of the CRT? They are. That's another remarkable thing. Almost always at least one of these is missing. Okay, so it all looks good. Let's see, what's the condition of the brass? Or whatever coating this is. One of the finest I've ever seen. So this must have been stored in a pretty good environment for both the screen and this brass coating to be in such fine condition, as is all the trim here. So yeah, that is one nice blonde holiday. Looking now, the big question is the picture tube any good? Don't care so much about the chassis. I mean, I'm hoping it's in great condition and it's all there, but I have a number of spare holiday chassis because unfortunately these sets tend to get really beat up and deteriorated and picture tubes go bad or the whole top gets busted off. So there seems to be a surplus of spare holiday chassis floating around. I think there's even one for sale on eBay right now. It's a bit dirty. I don't really know what the best way to clean this is other than to use a little warm water, soft cloth. I'm kind of afraid to do anything with these. Probably beeswax is okay. I would not use something like Pledge because it has silicone oil in it, which can mess up a finish. Looks like it's maybe a little sun faded. It seems to be lighter on this side. Well, it is lighter on this side than on this side. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. I'm going to guess it was more exposed to the sun over here than over there. But not a big deal, not a big deal. Alrighty, let's get the picture tube tester out and see what we got. Alright, unfortunately I can see the original Philco label in there. It is the original picture tube, which is not a good thing because the original picture tubes had a bit of a design flaw and often they are bad because the emissions would burn out prematurely. But it's not impossible for A, for it to still be good, or B, for it to be good enough to produce an image. If it is completely dead, I'll have to talk with the owner and see what he wants to do. I don't really have any drop-in replacements. I might have one or two that have longer necks and would require an extension or some modifications to work, but these 21 inchers, these are the real tough ones. 17's not so bad. 21's really tough to find replacement picture tubes and other parts. Alright, the filament is glowing. That's a good thing. We are seeing life on the neon bulbs. Ideally, we want the left half of both of these right two neon bulbs to be lit. G1, yeah, G2 is kind of slowly pulsating, which I don't like. It may indicate a short. Let's see. Yeah, if the left one is on solidly, that's an indication of a short between G2 and cathode or G1 and G2. I'm going to bump up the filament voltage from 2.34 to 2.68, which is just a very minor increase just to kind of goose the thing alive a little bit. The next jump up is to 4, which is a little aggressive. I'm going to go back to 2.34. And let's check for emissions. And we don't really have any. Just barely. And if I get a cutoff, basically nothing. Go to 2.68 again. Emissions. It's like 1 tick on the meter, which is terrible. Let me wiggle the socket, make sure I have good contact. Yeah, it's not making any difference. It's not looking good. That is not looking good. I have heard magic tales of people hitting Rejuvenate and he's got great emissions. I have tried to rejuvenate maybe half a dozen of these and they all had no change or got worse. That being said, I have fired up 1 or 2 really weak originals and they produced an image. I think I even have a video way back one of a tandem set. It's a weird ghostly image. The image is almost negative, black and white, and it's very kind of silvery looking, which is what happens when you have a really dead CRT. But amazingly, you can just have like 1 or 2 ticks on the meter and you could still get an image. If all you wanted to do was turn it on and have something appear on the screen in a dark room, you can. So I certainly wouldn't throw it away. This is good for testing or screwing around. And of course I can also boost the filament voltage even more. But before we do anything, we're just going to let it sit. We'll let it sit on 2.68. I'll come back in 10-15 minutes and we'll see what happens, because this has woken up a bit. I left it at 2.68 volts for about 20 minutes, and both the neon indicators now are lit on just the left half. The G2 is no longer flickering and pulsating, it's on solidly. And the emissions, they're in the bad, but it's a lot more than one tick. We're about 2/3 of the way through the bad, which in my experience tells me that that would produce an image. Would it be great? No. Would it be dim? Yes. Would it be watchable? Yeah, in a dim room. And cut off. Yeah, we do have cutoff control. So, and it goes. I can get it onto the cutoff indicator on the meter, which means that we would have decent contrast. So. Oh yeah, and it is a 2. I'll go down to 2.34, but 2.34, 2.68, they're very, very close to each other. So, yeah. So I'll let the owner know. I'll see what he wants to do. Yeah, I could try rejuvenating it. I'd be more inclined to let it cook. Now, one thing with the Suncor I can do, this only has fixed positions for the filament voltage. The Suncor is variable, so I could put it at, say, 3 volts for a while, see if that wakes it up anymore. But that's enough for now. I mean, I know it's an original, it's worn out. Let's take a look at the chassis next. I'll save the Suncor for another day. I just wanted to get some idea of what we have to work with, so I can let the owner know, and he can make the call. Let's see. Ooh, it's actually kind of cracking. Well, this kind of stinks. It seems that, here we go. It really fused on there. Maybe it's never been off the set in the entire life of this set. Maybe it's never been serviced. Unfortunately, it got a bit damaged. Well, it got very damaged. It was already damaged when I tried to get it out, but prying it out of there damaged it even more. I should be able to salvage one from one of my parts chassis, though, so not the end of the world. Yeah, well, so let's see. I just took the one screw out, so both of these are present. I'm just trying to determine, has this ever been serviced before or not? Maybe it hasn't. Let's see. Hey, down in front. As I was putting this back together, I noticed something. It says repaired 1/25/69, I think. So that must be when somebody did some repairs. What did they repair? Well, we know the power switch has been replaced. I think the electrolytic has been replaced. And I now know why I had so much trouble getting the interconnect off. I had just as much trouble getting it back on. In fact, it's not on all the way. The pins that protrude from the back of the chassis were crimped flat. In other words, they were made skinnier in one dimension and wider in the other. I suspect because the cord was not making good contact, maybe intermittent contact. So they wanted to, well, really jam this on. The downside is it jammed it on so well that it couldn't be taken out without damage, and now I can't get it back on. So definitely we'll be replacing that entire assembly. I left everything connected and just pulled the chassis out a bit. The main board has never been serviced, but some of the tubes have been replaced. I see a tongue sole, an RCA, a Philco. So at least somebody took the back off to get in there and replace the tubes. Let's see, I'll try to flip this over without disconnecting things too much. Ooh. Fusible resistor is a bit askew. I think the holder is just bent. I think that is the original fusible resistor, this little hoop thing. The wires are a little crispy and crunchy. Oh, what the heck. I decided to just pull the whole chassis out anyways. Actually, all the connectors are really easy to undo. Two here, speaker, which just leaves the high voltage cable. That one's a little bit troublesome, but I got it off without too much trouble. Just had to get inside here and yank it out of the socket. Oh yeah, boy, this looks really clean. Let's flip her over and see what's down below. Not too bad, not too bad. And actually, it's possible it's 100% original. I am not sure about it. This is electrolytic. It looks a bit longer than I'm used to seeing. I thought the original was a little bit shorter because this is really kind of crammed in there. Yeah, I'm trying to tell this resistor's a little bent up. That insulation looks a little fried. But, well, until I get it out so I can see the logo on it, I can't say for certain, but I do think it is quite possibly a replacement. Otherwise, yeah, this looks great. So I'm slowly transitioning from 17 to 21 inch. I have a couple 17s to wrap up, both underway, and I've actually started doing some preliminary work on the other 21s I've got. Let me pull out another chassis and I can put it side by side with this one so we can compare the two. So here's one from a similar pedestal set where I've already removed the main board and reworked it. But I haven't worked underneath yet, so we can compare the two. And yeah, this is what I'm used to seeing. Doesn't mean that's not the original. There were production run differences. Gets confusing. They moved location. Some of the parts are on a little bit. Some of the revisions. Otherwise, these look pretty darn similar. I think that's a replacement cap, but otherwise, all the components look very similar and are in the same spot. So, yeah. Now I'm going to recommend to the owner that this get restored because aside from the picture tube, it's in really, and a couple missing knobs, it's in really, really good condition. The chassis looks great. Corrosion free, everything's there, it hasn't been monkeyed with. Cabinets in as good a condition as you're likely to find. So yeah, I think it'd be a shame not to restore it. Even with the picture tube that's in there, as it is right now, would produce an image. And perhaps a little bit of goosing on the filament voltage or a little light rejuvenation and probably get even a little bit better for a while anyways. If you're wondering about that box, that is a UHF option. This set has it, that one does not. So, cool. That's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing and triage of an upcoming Predicta set. We've got now 3 or 4 21-inch sets that have been approved to be restored. At least I've approved them to be restored. 3 for sure are going to be. We'll see about this one, but I think it will be. And we've got a few more left to check out. That's all for now.